everyone, welcome to today's video. This video will be a direct continuation of the previous one in which I introduced HASS.Agent to you. So we have dealt with local sensors and installation and stuff like that, so all the basics. If you want to start with the beginning, I suggest you to watch that video. In today's video, we will be dealing with commands, which is a feature that enables you to control your PC, and I will show you how to send notifications from Home Assistant to your PC and stuff like that. Oh, and we will also talk about quick actions, which is quite a unique feature of HASS.Agent among similar software. But first, if you're new to the channel, my name is László Marcel, and this channel deals with home automation, home networking, and sometimes with related stuff like DIY electronics and even a little bit of 3D printing. Anyway, let's continue with today's topic. Last time in our video, we have covered installation, configuration, and also local sensors within HASS.Agent. Now today, starting from left and going to right, we will start with quick actions. So as I mentioned before, quick actions is a feature that enables you to map specific actions to hotkeys and quickly execute them right from your Windows PC. By actions, I mean various calls to Home Assistant to execute scripts and scenes and turn on switches and lights and whatever. So just let's take a quick look. So this is the basic window, the first window of the quick actions configuration. As you can see, I already have one action added, and that's why quick actions show OK here. Before you have this, it also appears as stopped, which is normal. So what does this do and how to add one? This is a function to turn on light. Actually, it's more than a light. I will get back to it later, but right now just let's consider it a basic light. It has an entity. Entity IDs come from Home Assistant directly, so if you register a light in Home Assistant, then it will appear in HASS.Agent as well, and you can start using it right away. This is the action column, so it's just, well, it's missing a title, I guess, but it means that we will turn this light on. This means the command is enabled, and this is the hotkey. You can also add some additional description. Okay, so let's add the new one. You can do this by clicking this button, add new. This is pretty much a similar mechanism for the whole addition thing that we have used for sensors. So you mean you set up one entity here, then click store, then you can add another one and modify them and so on. And when you are all done and you want to make this whole configuration change to have its effect, then you click store quick actions. Okay, so let's get back to here, adding a new quick action. As you can see, we have these items called domains, and these are basically separate parts of Home Assistant functionality. So you can trigger automation here. You can, for example, trigger lights like I did. Then if your Home Assistant functions as a media player, then you can adjust media playing there. Or actually, if you have Alexa media player, then you can control those from here as well. Okay, you can also run or execute scenes, scripts, and you can turn switches on and off. So what I did in my case is I added a light. Lights are actually the easiest way, along with switches, to trigger functionality with this. Not mentioning scenes. To be honest, I'm not using scenes in Home Assistant because for complex automation, I use Node-RED. And actually with this light, as I mentioned before, it's not really a light. So this actually triggers a Node-RED function. Okay, so how does this work? Let's assume that this is a light. You select the available lights you have on Home Assistant. These are the entity IDs. Then you select the desired action. Actually, this is pretty weird. I assume this will be fixed in a future release of HASS.Agent because, well, you can't really pause, play, whatever with the light, right? But you can turn it on and turn it off. So I already had this one up. Let's say I want to have this light, which is the main light in my study. I want to turn it on. I can give it a description, which I won't do, and then I can assign it to a hotkey. These are global hotkeys, so you might want to select a hotkey combination that is, well, not clashing with another one in another application, and so on. So I just set Shift Control plus L, and then I click Store Quick Action. Now I have 2, and when I do this, it will disappear, and it means that now my setup is complete. Now let me demonstrate the whole thing in Home Assistant. So I will just bring up my Home Assistant. Here we go, and then when I press the hotkey, magic happens, the light is turned on. But when I press the hotkey again, it won't turn off, and that is because we have just made a mistake. Let me show you that one. So we go back to HASS.Agent, go back to Quick Actions, and then modify this one. And this is what I forgot to mention. For lights, we have also this toggle functionality, which will obviously turn the light on and off by pressing the key again and again. So just let me store quickly, then store Quick Actions. I don't even have to switch the screen. And there we go. As you can see, Home Assistant refreshes in the background. And now I can turn the thing on and off with this hotkey. Okay, this is it basically about Quick Actions. I think you can figure out the rest on your own. The functionality is pretty similar for all of the other functions like switches and so on. But if you have questions, use the comment section of the video. Now, let's continue with satellite service. Regarding satellite service, let me be brutally honest. It does not really work the way I expected it to work, and it's a little bit inconvenient to use, but nevertheless, it's great functionality. So let me show you what I'm talking about. We click satellite service. After some loading, it will bring up this configuration window. And yeah, this a little bit confusing because it looks like the configuration window of HASS.Agent itself. And if you read this description here, you can use the satellite service to run sensors and command without having to be logged in. Not all types are available, whatever that means right now, whatever. So by this description, you would expect that whatever sensors and commands you configure here will work if you have the satellite service running. Ooh, I have the satellite service running from the start. That's a good thing, right? Turns out satellite service is more like a headless separate instance of HASS.Agent. And yeah, I totally mean a separate instance. Like you have to configure MQTT separately. Then you will have to configure commands separately. And this is the worst part. You have to configure all the sensors separately. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that sensors and commands you configure will be totally different functionality and totally cut off from these ones. As you can see, for example, I have my sensor set here, but when I go here and then check out sensors, there's nothing here. On the other hand, if I decide to add a new sensor, then it will be a totally separate entity with a totally separate name available in Home Assistant. It will be auto-discovered just like with the other sensors. However, again, it will be a separate entity with a separate name. And because of that, eventually you realize that, well, if you have the satellite service, you don't even need these two, right? I mean, this thing is running whether you are logged in with your user or not. On the other hand, these are only running when you are logged in with your user. So for example, if you set up a sensor for CPU, clock, or again, whatever CPU load, battery, you name it. And you want to check those values in Home Assistant while you are away from your PC and your user is not logged in or someone else is using your PC. Sensors you defined here won't be available in Home Assistant. The same applies to commands, as you will see later on. So first you have to configure your satellite service to work properly. Luckily for us, we have this button here, copy from HASS.Agent. It will copy your username, your password, port, and other settings for the MQTT broker. You click Send and Activate Config. And it says config stored. And now MQTT status connected. That's a good thing. It means that now you can define sensors and define commands. And as I will show you later on, in Home Assistant, these will appear as well. So actually you can use them the same way. Basically, this is it about satellite service. Once you do this configuration, you don't really have to change anything here. But once you have set this configuration, then you can work with commands and sensors the same way. Obviously, quick actions are not available because that means human interaction. That means someone has to be logged into the machine to click those hotkeys. Again, we will get back to this part later on. Now, let's continue with commands. The commands part is quite easy to understand. It provides you a way to remote control your PC from Home Assistant. So you just open this and once again, a similar configuration window we had before. So you just click the Add New button and once again, a very similar window. So you can see a couple of commands here that you can issue from Home Assistant. I mainly use functionality like restart, sleep, shutdown to remote control PCs, especially because Windows likes to wake up my PC middle of the night to do upgrades and stuff like that. And then miraculously, it forgets to shut down the PC. So I can actually use Home Assistant, for example, to trigger an automation that whenever Windows is done and, for example, CPU load has been idle for, I don't know, 15 minutes and we are in the middle of the night, then it should shut down the PC. So I can totally do that, which is a good thing. I can also just use my phone with the Home Assistant client to quickly shut down the PC that my daughters usually forget to do, just like they do with the lights. Okay, jokes aside, let's see how can I shut down this PC. So I select shutdown here, then entity type button. This is the name. This will appear with this name in Home Assistant. And surprisingly, pretty much that's it. I click store command, then store and activate commands. And now, as you can see, commands is all green, means that configured and this functionality of HASS.Agent is alive and running and available in Home Assistant. So let's take a look on Home Assistant. Actually, with using HASS.Agent, I already set up this for all the PCs in the household because, well, I don't really want to demonstrate it with my own PC. I mean, why would I shut down my own PC during recording a tutorial video, right? So as you can see, I have these sensors here. Actually, I did a couple new compared to the last video, like available space on the C drive. And you can see I have these buttons here. These three pieces, I've already migrated these buttons for HASS.Agent. For my own PC, I left it for the last for this demonstration, and these buttons I right now implemented with the old IoT Link functionality. If you don't know what IoT Link is, it's like a similar software to HASS.Agent. I mentioned it a couple of times in the previous HASS.Agent video, and I also made a video about it, I think a year ago or something like that, way before I realized that it has been discontinued, sadly. Okay, so just let me show you how this is done. We added the dashboard and go here. So I have the sensors. These are already coming from HASS.Agent. But what about the buttons? It's on the second screen. And as you can see, in the past with IoT Link, I used MQTT messages to trigger IoT Link functionality to lock my PC or to hibernate, to reboot, and so on and so on. Or actually, this one is an exception. This is Wake on LAN. So this is not related to HASS.Agent, but the first four are. Okay, so with HASS.Agent, these are much easier. You don't have to bother with MQTT because those commands appear in Home Assistant as actual buttons. So just let me show you. Again, these three are already migrated. So I can go here and then go to the second panel, which is here containing the button. And as you can see, I have the buttons set up. So it has a nice entity ID with the host name and _lock. And this is coming from HASS.Agent. Now, in the case of my PC, we have just added a button for shutting it down. So I go back here, this was the shutdown, and I can easily migrate. So I just look up Ryzen shutdown. As you can see, it's a button. We have just defined this in HASS.Agent. And then name shutdown, icon. I want to show the icon. Or actually this one, I can see that here. And then instead of calling the MQTT service, I will just use toggle, which makes the whole thing much leaner. And I can actually do the same, or I could do the same with the other buttons, but those are not yet added with, within HASS.Agent. So, and welcome to the danger zone. This is the button that I won't press. Okay, and as a final demonstration, it's time to play Poltergeist with my family and scare them a little bit. So we'll just wake those pieces up. And then we will play a bit around and you will see the difference between those that are configured properly with the satellite service and between those that are not configured. So whenever the PCs turn up and show connected, you will see that some has sensor values still unavailable. You still have to wait a little bit for the sensor values to actually arrive. Now with the PCs up and running, you can see that sensor values are unavailable here. And yeah, besides the PC being connected, which is a ping binary sensor, so it just checks that the PC responds to a ping. Otherwise, this seems to be pretty dead. Okay, so for this one, I don't have satellite service set up at all. For this one, I have satellite service and sensors set up as well. So if someone could go there to this PC, log in, then sensor values would be populated and the commands would become eventually available as well. So just let me show you the difference here, because as I mentioned, we have both satellite service and normal sensors up and running. So I just added the dashboard, added this one, and I have this sensor, for example, here. But if I scroll down a bit, or actually just start searching, oh, you can see we have Nikki PC satellite as a separate prefix for the entity names. And now I can search for the same sensor. So this was CPU load. There should be satellite CPU load as well. Yeah, there we go. So suddenly we have CPU load. And actually I can do the same for the other sensors. So I could just type in satellite here. Boom, there we go. We have GPU usage as well. Once again, now we have the temperature and so on. So as you can see, those are totally separate sets of sensors. Obviously, we should do the same with the comments, but I don't really want to waste time on it right now. So I'll just save it as it is. And yeah, I will probably do those later. So I can't turn them off remotely. So that's it. Yeah, I will turn them off later. But I can at least turn off my wife's PC, who's probably not using it, hopefully. Based on the CPU usage, not. So there we go. Actually, if you turn off a PC via the satellite service and someone is logged in, a nice warning pop-up will appear, and it will say to the user that he or she has like a minute to save the current work and so on before the PC turns off. So it's actually quite a sophisticated solution. And now you can see the PC is off. It's probably still running and shutting down the operating system, and the ping sensor will take like 30 seconds or so to shut down, and our work is done. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you about integrating Home Assistant and HASS.Agent directly. And as a really last part of the video, I will just show you something else. So I mentioned before that I had this light called game mode, and it was available in the HASS.Agent to use it with a quick action. So what does this do? This is a fake light provided by a piece of software called RED+Ha-Bridge. This is a free software I mentioned before, and I actually made a quite long video about it, how to use it, what is it good for, and so on. But in general, it provides you a way to create fake lights that are available for your Amazon Echoes, for your Google Home, for Home Assistant, and so on. And with those fake lights, when those are turned on, off, or adjusted like color settings or whatnot, you can trigger various functions. So for example, if I go here, this is the night mode, or actually if I go here to game mode, this is a fake light. This appears for my Amazon Echoes as a fake light, as a Philips Hue light. Actually, you can assign various functions here, and with this I simply send an MQTT message when it's turned on and a different message when it is turned off. And these messages in turn trigger Node-RED functionality. And with that functionality, I can do whatever I want, quite complex automations. And together with HASS.Agent, I can start the whole automation with a hotkey from my PC. So this is just something I wanted to quickly show you. I don't really want to go into details. If you're interested in triggering these complex automations, then or connecting it to your Amazon Echo or Home Assistant or whatever else, just leave a comment in the video's comment section, and I consider creating a tutorial about this in the future. And this is it. This is what I've planned for this two-part mini-series introducing HASS.Agent to you. Of course, this doesn't mean that there won't be any more videos on the channel related to HASS.Agent, because it's kind of a powerful software and I plan to use it for a long time. And of course, who knows, maybe there will be new features worth covering in a video. So if you like this one and you're interested in future topics, and haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It helps me a lot. And of course, you will be notified when I upload a new video. Other than that, I think it's time to say goodbye. And thanks for watching the video, and really hope to see you next time with a new one. Bye.